think, is pathologizing discourse. You know, I believe that the 3 to 5% of the population who are clinical psychopaths, and that's about what it is. See, they'll weaponize political discourse, left wing and right wing.
Exactly.
They don't give a damn about politics. They'll weaponize political discourse to bring attention to themselves.
Sounds familiar.
Online with.
Sounds familiar. Might want to look a little closer to home on that one. If you've seen this guy's Twitter feed, you might want to take a little closer look to home on that one.
Psychopaths are weaponizing political crap to get attention. In unrelated news, a transgender person tried to bite me. Also, in unrelated news, sign up for Peterson Academy. It's $2,000.
This has 500,000 views in like 5 hours.
Contentious political issues. And yet we have the amplification of divisive political discourse that makes everyone believe that there's far more division than there is, and that's all weaponized by a cadre of psychopaths.
Name one.
And you might think, well, you're exaggerating that, Dr.
Name one. One of them is on the show right now. Two of them are on the show right now.
And it's really bad.
And Jordan, let me ask you.
Go ahead, Piers.
Is there a correlation between what you're talking about here and what is happening with these people who are now wanting to kill Donald Trump, for example?
Right.
And in the case of the second shooter, he's on record on his social media amplifying talking points that have been rammed home by Democrats, including Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, and others.
Right.
Donald Trump is an existential threat to
And there's one guy who really deserves a lot of blame for ramping up this rhetoric.
It's Bilbo. It's Bilbo.
It is Bilbo. Bilbo's really asking for one of these.
Boom, 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 boom.
Okay, so Piers Morgan.
Piers.
You know, I watched hours and hours of this guy's show, and this is like a recurring trope that he does. And he's talking about this second assassin guy, attempted assassin guy. And his theory, and again, he gets a gazillion views. His theory is that these people are motivated by people in the media, politicians or whatever, saying this guy's a threat. This guy's an existential threat. He says this like over and over and over again. And we're going to look into this guy a little bit more because it's really something. But there's a problem with this. Let's look at another clip from Piers. And this is just like, I don't know, a couple days from this one.
Donald Trump, if he wants to, he can call Kamala Harris a communist. He can say that she's whatever. She's like Comrade Kamala. He's literally calling her a Russian Stalinist, whatever. Jimmy Dore retweeted a conspiracy theory that the intelligence services were behind this assassination.
She is a communist.
Policies.
Well, I can tell you what he's focusing on.
Making things safe.
Hey, Piers, shut up. Let her finish.
Posted on X.
Go ahead.
The rhetoric lies as exemplified by the false statements made by Comrade Kamala Harris during the rigged and highly partisan ABC debate. Because of his communist left rhetoric, the bullets are flying and it will only get worse. And then he goes on ranting about other stuff.
Had the rhetoric of get Trump literally since 2015. They haven't been out.
Hey, shut up. Let Jenna talk. I don't know who she is, but let her talk.
And if the polls are accurate and this is actually such a neck-and-neck election,
exactly,
I have to ask why 50% of Americans actually want to see a Marxist communist in the White House. That is Kamala Harris's policy. I mean, she's being vague on purpose versus someone who actually wants to give more freedom and liberty to...
Hey, dude, Jenna. Jesus, Jenna, shut up. Communism confirmed, and
it's weird.
Okay, so this goddamn guy, Piers, you know, he's really just doing like a Jerry Springer thing. I don't think this guy cares about any of this stuff, but you know, okay, let's just go with it. Because this has 1.5 million views in 3 days. Wait, 1.5 million? What the hell? But I watched a bunch of this, and Piers over and over again is like, look, you know, they're saying all this heated rhetoric about this guy, Trump. They're saying all this heated rhetoric about this guy. You know, in the second shooter, he was unwell. And when an unwell mind hears that kind of stuff, you know, you end up with an assassination attempt. You know, and on the same show, he's got this lady who's like, look, frankly, and I believe this is true.
This is pure political science right here. Trump is the only thing standing in the way
of the confirmed Marxist-Leninist communism, Dadaism, situationism of, what's the lady's name? Kamala Harris. Same show. Now let's take a look at this guy. Let's take a little bit of a look into the mind of this second shooter guy. Okay, here we go. Ryan writes that the foreign volunteers are not at war with Russians, but with the Ukrainians and their communist thinking. They have to constantly explain the benefits of freedom and democracy. In addition, they were raised by, quote, children of communists from Russia. who taught them to, quote, hate democracy, the U.S., free enterprise, and the whole world. We foreigners cannot allow ourselves to lose the battle with Ukrainians and their remaining communist thinking. We must be the ones to win this battle, he writes in the book. Yeah, this guy wrote a book. Ryan calls himself, quote, a loser who allowed communism in Ukraine. What is a goddamn thing? Ukraine to wear him down and send him home. So shocking news update. Piers Morgan shows a total waste of time. Update. Piers Morgan show that got 1.5 million views and it gets like that many views all the time. Total and utter waste of time. I mean, if 1.5 million views Piers, is right on this, the rhetoric motivated this troubled guy. Couldn't he just watch Piers' show and be like, oh, this lady's a communist. I gotta do something. I mean, it doesn't really add up. But also, this guy's like political whole thing is pretty incoherent. He was like a Tulsi Gabbard fan. I think I know why on that one. But he was like a Vivek Ramaswamy guy for a while. When he voted for Trump the first time, so it's kind of all over the place. Okay, there's a couple other things that are kind of, I don't want to say funny, not funny, odd. Yeah, let's say odd about this guy. Okay, and I'm taking a little bit of a grain of salt with some of this stuff because the info is still coming out, but here's one. This guy was in Ukraine in May 2022. He wrote a joke tweet for some reason, encouraging Angelina Jolie to come too. Okay, the other thing about this guy is that he lived in Hawaii. And that's kind of a type of guy, who lives in North Carolina or South Carolina or wherever the hell, and then moves to Hawaii. That is a type of guy. That's all questionable type of guys. But there's a story I heard, I can neither confirm nor deny, that he was involved in local politics in Hawaii. And one of his things was people need to quit shooting off fireworks everywhere. It's scaring dogs, scaring the elderly. And he had this idea of a designated park to shoot fireworks off at. Not a bad idea. I'm just saying. Hey, well, he did have a lot of bad ideas, but that one, I don't know. A park for fireworks? Maybe.
I'm just saying for that one.
Not bad. Maybe bad, I don't know. Okay, check this out right here. Piers got another interesting theory. You're not gonna believe this one, check this out.
But when Donald Trump, yesterday morning, before he went to the golf course, just literally posted to his Truth Social media platform, I hate Taylor Swift.
It's weird.
Where you got a presidential candidate just saying, I hate the biggest pop star in the world, who herself has millions of followers, some of whom may be mentally unstable.
Right.
How does that help anything either? How does that not potentially, to an easily influenced, deranged mind, not lead a Swiftie to go and want to take action against him? In other words, rhetoric is important. And obviously there's a sliding scale from Hitler to Taylor Swift, I get that. But the principle of inflaming...
Hey, calm down. What did that guy say?
Oh, goddamn me to hell.
Oh, wow. How many views again? 1.5 million in 3 days. And Piers Morgan is worried about Swiftie assassins. What if they get pissed off and go to avenge their queen? John Bolton, what do you think? John Bolton's like, well,
We've lost the lead.
I don't know. Is it unlikely that the Swifties will form their own kind of Al-Qaeda kind of thing? Candace Owens, what do you think? Okay, I forgot what the hell I was talking about. Oh, yeah. That is kind of, I have to admit, though, that is kind of one of the funniest things. Former president writes, I hate Taylor Swift. I hate Taylor Swift. I thought of a kind of John Oliver kind of joke for that. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. This is not the first time a president has said this kind of thing. FDR actually said, hey, Ella Fitzgerald could kiss my he wrote on whatever the 1930s version of Twitter was.
Billie Holiday could go straight to hell.
He was writing that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's the end of the John Oliver kind of joke. But yeah, Piers Morgan's show, it gets crazy views, but it's just slop, meaningless slop. His solution to, mentally unwell people trying to shoot the president is maybe nobody should be allowed to say stuff. Also, I'm a free speech guy, but no, having some kind of a healthcare system where people in need could get, psychological help, that doesn't factor in. Should people stop saying things? Okay, anyway, let's get back to Jordan Peterstone. See what the hell his ass is talking about. What's that face he's making? Okay.
And we've watched that kind of human tragedy of his family play out in public because this boy that he had, this son, now identifies in a different way, and
they're talking about their favorite guy whose name is
is very hostile towards him and says so on social media and so on.
Right, because Elon Musk is weird.
What did you feel when Elon Musk, right now, the richest, most successful, and in many ways most entrepreneurial guy in the world, somebody who is really trying to save the world from itself in many ways.
Calm your ass down, Peter.
Tesla, through SpaceX, through Neuralink, all these extraordinary things. There he was, just gripped in his own human crisis with his own family.
Right, being a weirdo.
Because of a mindset which is wresting his child away from him.
Okay. Go ahead, Jordan.
Well, that shows you how pervasive the problem is, especially with regards to our current misconceptions of what constitutes identity.
Right.
Even someone like Elon Musk has a family that falls prey to it. And I think that every single medical professional and psychological professional who has been, who's played a role in facilitating the trans butchery of minor children should be put in prison for the rest of their lives for crimes against humanity. It is the worst. And so that's a crime against humanity in accordance with UN definitions. And so I just think it's to call it reprehensible is to barely scrape the surface.
Yeah.
So, if this were just some other YouTube channel, that doesn't already have 500,000 views and probably 1 million views by the time I upload this, it'll be like, whatever. This has been responded to so many times. This panic that you're creating here, of many points to make about this, what you're describing is extremely rare, and on and on and on. It's been responded to 1 million times. But this is an especially inconvenient day for Jordy to be doing this little song and dance, because what this kind of gets down to is that Jordan Peterson is really concerned about the rights of children, the safety of children, and that's good. People should care about that, for God's sake. What I'm about to show you is from Reuters, mainstream news, literally hours before they posted this video. Israel violated global child rights treaty in Gaza, UN committee says. Jordan Peterson also brought up the UN. The UN committee on Thursday accused Israel of severe breaches of a global treaty protecting children's rights, saying its military actions in Gaza had a catastrophic impact on them and are among the worst violations in recent history. So this guy right here, who's claiming, I'm just really worried about children. Not a word about this. Not a peep. Kind of weird. Almost seems like he's bullshmitting. Shocking thing I'm about to say here. This YouTuber who's charging $2,000 for his fake college, kind of useless. Kind of a useless person. Shocking. Shocking. Nobody knew that. Okay, let's look at something a little less disturbing before we get out of here. Who the hell is this guy? What's the guy? Oh, he's got a little iced tea there, maybe?
That's Dr. Phil.
It's Dr.
Pendejo.
Oh, he's on TYT. Doctor can do no wrong, many say. Okay, anyway. Let's check this out.
And look at our cultural landscape and the kind of behavior that tends to get rewarded that infuriates me. And I think a prime example is actually someone who came on your show, that Cash Me Outside chick, right? That woman, she's a multi-millionaire now. Multi-millionaire, and she was brought on your show by her mother because of her bad behavior. And her bad behavior...
Her bad behavior... Okay, whatever, you get it. ...became a national sensation. And then she went off to make a lot of money.
Love her.
Off of her whole persona and everything. So
She's going like this.
what are your thoughts on that? Like, what can we do to change the culture so bad behavior doesn't get rewarded?
Well,
Yeah, get your thing, Dr. Phil.
You read the book, and...
Get your tablet.
Goddamn Dr. Phil, he's falling asleep. He's falling asleep all the time. Poor old Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil's getting kind of political, but this interview does show, like a third of this interview does show, like, what Dr. Phil could have been. There's a part where Anna and Cenk are just like, hey, what do you do if there's conflict in a marriage? And Dr. Phil's just like, well, you gotta listen to your partner. Whatever bullshit, Well, you gotta say, like, what I'm about to say, just listen to this. Just listen to goddamn, say to your partner, you goddamn listen to me.
You say to your partner, you shut the hell up.
You're smothering me. You say that to your partner. He's just giving basic relationship advice that you could probably, read anywhere. That could have been Dr. Phil, you know? But now he's like all political. And he's like, well, Ben Shapiro's, you know, it's just... But I like that Anna asked him this because it's like, I know that Bad Baby haunts Dr. Phil. Okay, this is from last year. Cash Me Outside Girl, Bad Baby, lists Florida home for $7.89 million a year after buying it for $6.1 million. This is in Boca Raton, by the way, which is funny too, having Bad Baby live amongst the 70-year-olds. Look at this place.
Look at that pool.
I'll be in that pool going like this. Ooh, look at that walk-in closet looking like the size of my entire place that I live. I'd be living in this place like... Ooh, that kitchen would not look like that if I lived there. That kitchen would be looking like... Oh, right, and an office. Of course she needs an office. This Bad Baby we're talking about. Show some respect. That is Dr. Phil's life's work right there. Look, you're out of control. You need to shut the hell up. Listen to your mom. And he just totally made this girl rich, like a multi-millionaire. I actually probably would go to a Bad Baby show. You know, I'm looking through the local listings of things to do. Oh, Georgia O'Keeffe paintings at the museum. I don't want to look at that crap. Bad Baby tickets, $200. All right, guess I'll go to that. Well, anyway, guys, I hope you're a bunch of bad babies this weekend. Out here going like this. Whoa, it's Friday, thank God. Hope you have a good weekend. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Oh, Dronny J here with the outro. Can you believe that the interaction between me and that other AI? Great bit, you know. I got a few announcements to make. That's my kind of attitude here in the outro. They got a few announcements to make. Drop Jakes. If you're around Texas on September 27th, come to the live show in Denton, Texas. Link below, I say. What else? Oh, yeah. Ooh, these are what do you call the producers right here. Oh, God bless them. God bless them. To our Lord God is upon them, for sure. But if you want every video, you're missing a lot of the videos. That's crazy. I mean, you're acting insane right now, missing these other videos. Subscribe on Patreon for as little as just useless dollars a month. Yeah. So there's a link in the description. Ooh, a link. Wow. That sounds very technical to me. I don't know anything about it, frankly. But anyway, now I gotta get the hell out of here because I don't know what's going on. Oh, it's a weekend. That's when I get a little questionable. What? Go ahead. I gotta go. Bye.
Enemy UAV active. Enemies inside the perimeter. Right behind you. Confirming next hard point. Stand by. Hardpoint relocated. Secure the target area. Hardpoint compromised. Secure the area. Hardpoint relocating. Stand. Enemies inside the perimeter. Hardpoint compromised. Secure the area.
Because you hate me? I'm not stupid. Or we get a divorce. The only thing you did right was marry right. My whole family family question whether or not I should marry you. We get a divorce.
I'd rather Kelly leave me than change.
The finger sniffing is real. Because you talked to Kelly the entire time we were together.
We'll be here 2 months.
And so, the thumb man who cheated his diet outside Good Springs cheated his diet once again. After the Battle of London, many thought it was the push Richard needed to finally change once and for all. At first, tourists arrived in masses, showing support. Eventually, some got bored. Others left when Richard's true nature inevitably started to show once more. In the new world of Trailer 101, teen bullying continued. Pepsi was spilled, and many laughed and enjoyed, just as they had in the old world. Because wings never changes.
Not doing well this stream, guys.
Don't worry too much about interacting with them. I'll do the interaction with them.
I'm not interacting with them. I think I died.
Remember, lock on, or once you're light attack, like freeze your powers. Think about how they work. When you kill the crossbow guy, both sticks at the same time. Don't press buttons. Kill the crossbow guy. Go across the bridge.
Where am I?
Don't worry about over there. You're going to learn to control it. You've had almost 5 hours. You should know the controls of this one.
Can we get this out of my way? I need it gone.
It can't be gone.
Well,
That's the microphone we're talking to. No, don't go out there fighting. Stay back. Stay back here. Right? Okay. Do a light attack for me.
I don't understand what you need.
Down that controller. Light attack, heavy attack, 2-hand, use consumable, roll/sprint. It's open stuff. Shield, parry. Alright? What you don't want to do is walk into the scenario without thinking about what you're doing. Think about what the enemy's doing, what you're doing, and what you're controlling. You gotta learn this. Get you guys to the right. If you don't have control of the fight and you have no stamina, just break away from it. Walk away from it. Go back to where the bonfire is. You're panicking. Where's your health at? Think about what we're doing. You need to start making a mental note of how the world looks. Use both sticks at the same time. Left stick moves you, right stick moves the camera. You got the crossbow guy, and you got a guy coming up the stairs. Why do you keep throwing the shield out?
Accidentally.
Why are you doing that? Accidentally.
Because I was actually trying to go for this, but my fat finger hit this.
But you did it multiple. Stop moving forward.
I understand I did it multiple times.
Stop moving forward. We're gonna learn this encounter. We're not gonna go
So hard to watch.
We're gonna learn just this encounter.
I didn't do well enough for you. I got to continue to do this over and over.
Yes.
Hardpoint relocated. Secure the target area.
Let me ask you a question. You understand why I want you to do this encounter multiple times?
Because you hate me?
No. But at a fundamental level, why do I want you to do this encounter multiple times?
Because you want me to memorize all the movements on the control.
One. But this is kind of a trick question and there's multiple reasons. One, I need you to understand how to diffuse situations. So let me ask you this question. Don't feel like I'm talking down to you. Think of it as an exercise, right? We're working together to try to overcome a problem. It has nothing to do with me talking down to you or the cadence of my voice, nothing like that. How you kill them is dictated by what they have on.
Secure the area.
What does that mean?
UAV is active.
It dictates what I use and how much armor I need.
So what did I do?
I'm not.
This is horrible.
Enemies inside the perimeter. Hardpoint compromised. Secure the
not stupid.
Why do you go straight to that?
Do you hear how you're talking to
Do
me?
you see how you're playing? You were playing better, yes, last week. All right, so go sit at the bonfire. Turn the camera 360 degrees. All right. How should you intake this engagement? Like you have two people coming up the stairs, and you have a guy that's going to be shooting a crossbow at you. What should you do? What you've been doing a lot is fighting it on their terms. Like you go through, you just power attack as much as humanly possible with no stamina.
Can I go now?
Yes. And people are calling it mansplaining and everything. The reason I'm doing this way, I want you to come to your own conclusions. Because when you have your own epiphanies, it will stick. And so what are you thinking about right now?
I'm looking for that man.
There he is.
Now, either you're going to let me figure it all out by myself, or you're going to tell me what to do. We're not doing this half and half.
No, I'm not. I'm here to help you with mechanics of the game. And I'm trying to slow you down because you're not actually absorbing what you're doing.
Rolling stone, yeah, there's no moss.
It's the third string. Well, the reason I'm explaining why I got to explain everything is
because he can't help but explain everything.
You say this, but this stream, it wouldn't be enjoyable to watch you die and not learn anything because you're just button mashing. We got to get past the button mashing stage because you can't button mash your way through this game. Go back to the other direction. Go upstairs.
Can you let me pretend like I'm trying to learn things on my own?
What we learned last week about shield guys. How did we counter them? Press triangle. You're not watching your health. You're back off in heal. Square heals. You're mad at me because you kind of panicked. Would you be if Kelly used a walkthrough? She has a mobile walkthrough here. I know everything there is to know about this game, other than some tidbits of lore.
Yes, but the walkthrough doesn't treat me like I'm a child.
You gotta get over that whole wanting to be treated like a child thing. I'm not trying to treat you like a child. I'm trying to set scenarios up so you learn.
Where do I get souls from?
Where have you been getting them from?
The same 6 people?
Yeah, you can. You can sit at the bonfire and just keep killing them over and over again.
That is the lamest thing I have ever heard in my life. This is so lame. Here, let me kill the same 6 souls over and over and over. Ooh.
Trying to work out that whole you panic press buttons.
That's how I approach my whole life.
Right. Remember when I told you that Dark Souls is going to change that?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We're doing this every Friday till you beat this game. Every Friday.
Or we get a divorce.
Either or.
Which one do we think will come first, chat? My husband's way of streaming and not streaming. Here, Kelly, play Dark Souls.
This is our best stream every week.
You realize you have nothing to do with that, right?
Okay.
The only thing you did right was marry right. All those swats were so worth it now. All those times my whole family questioned whether or not I should marry you.
But your family adores me now.
So worth it. So worth it to be tortured every Friday playing a video game.
You don't see it yet, but we went across the main reason I want you to play Dark Souls, and it just right over that head. Now let her play how she wants and stop treating her like a child. Seriously, $1,000 to grow and eat a few sea monkeys, bro. No, I'm not going to eat brine shrimp. I hate seafood.
I'll eat it.
Rez, I'm sorry, Kelly, but Mr. Wing's ex-girlfriend's kind of cute. Oh, come on, Rez. You trying to get me in trouble.
Oh, I know. He's told me she was the cutest one he ever dated.
I never said that. You don't know. What are you doing?
I got distracted.
I know you got distracted. Look, where's your health at?
Huh?
What happens if your health goes to 0?
Friendly UAV on station.
What happens if your health goes to 0?
We get a divorce.
happens?
I die.
And what happens when you die?
I have to fight souls again.
No, you drop your souls.
Which means I have to fight them again to get them back.
Well, you only get one shot at it. So if you die again, you lose all the souls that you've acquired. That's why.
I need you to do more of this.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm gonna let you do you.
When I ask questions,
Go for it.
thank you.
Go for it. All right, we're gonna spend the next hour, chat, letting her do what she wants to do.
Y'all know what I did wrong, chat? I didn't take him to an open field.
They're asking, are you upset that the X is coming on walkout tonight?
I don't care.
Why'd you care yesterday? You did not care, but it still kind of bothers you. You guys worry too much. My feelings about that is, do you want to give Keemstar money?
Why not? I love me some Keemstar. He's my favorite on the show. Okay, you can lead me to the merchant.
No, I can't.
Okay.
You got an hour. It's your turn.
Okay.
Learn the game.
Okay.
I sound bitter. I'm not bitter at all. Sir, wasted surgery. Wayne's called his extra 10, by the way. When did I do that? Because I don't remember doing that.
I'm sure he did. She is the one that got away.
I'll tell you this, like, even in her prime, Priscilla not looking her best right now. The whole dying thing is putting a damper on it. Even in her prime, she wasn't the cutest girl I dated. I have not talked down to her at all. Like I said, my cadence seems condescending because it's the way I teach. Right? Like I teach in a way that I teach in the way that helps me learn. Right? So like the way I learned the best was to be hands-on and to come to the conclusions myself. Microphone.
Team deathmatch. You're clear to engage any and all hostiles in the AO. airstrike. Enemy UAV active.
Hostiles.
Hostile mosquito is online. Hostile UAV in the area. We're getting hit hard. Standing by. Mission failed. Return to base.
If you're unaware, Ice Spice has been getting a ton of criticism lately, with tons of videos on YouTube saying that she fell off or is falling off, and tens of thousands of people clowning her online. This has left many people wondering lately, why does it seem like so many people hate Ice Spice? Well, today we're going to look into the multiple reasons in recent drama that have caused people to switch up on her, but to understand why so many people hate her and the controversy she's in now, we first got to see how she got here. Don't worry, I won't bore you guys too much with the traditional come-up stories, but we got to talk about it a little bit to fully understand. In 2021, Ice Spice's freshman year of college, Ice Spice met her producer Riot USA, and they eventually started making music together. However, before even making music, she first went viral on TikTok and Twitter for a video of her doing a TikTok dance. After that video went viral, she released her first song, Bully Freestyle, in March of 21, and continued to release some music. She utilized TikTok to promote her music, and it definitely helped with the type of videos she was posting, if you get what I mean. And she was slowly but surely building a decent following on SoundCloud, Instagram, and all her other socials. Then in August of 2022, Ice Spice released the song Munch, which as we all know, absolutely blew up. It was released on WorldStar, was played on radio stations like Hot 97, and was going majorly viral. Before the song even released, Drake tapped in with Ice Spice and told her he was gonna play the song on his radio station. Drake also mentioned her On the Radar freestyle, which was a freestyle she did with On the Radar Radio, and it was somewhat interesting to see how she was getting all these connects with media outlets before her major blow up. But it's also possible they were just all tapped in early and really liked her music. Regardless, this song was super viral and she had everybody who was anybody singing the lyrics.
Oh, you thought I was feeling you? That a munch. Because I eat it, he eat it for lunch.
You said that a little too spicy.
I like that song.
We know.
And I like her.
Okay. The song is all right.
That song is better than all right. Oh, you thought I was feeling you?
People love this song a lot more than numbers actually show. Like, I'm very surprised it only went gold and it didn't even chart on the Billboard Hot 100. But I think Pitchfork ranking it the 30th best song of 2022 says something about this song's popularity. Ice Spice was on top of the world and she was getting ready to release the biggest songs of her career. But Ice Spice had a problem, and it's that she had a lot of haters, and these haters had a ton of problems with her. The general critique of Ice Spice at the time was that she was talentless, her music sucked, she was only famous for her looks, or that she was an industry plant, which would explain the first few complaints. Most of these complaints were just people hating because it was popular, but they did have some merit. For example, the industry plant one really stuck with her for a few reasons. First of all, the guy I mentioned earlier, Riot USA, the dude who produced all of her original music, has some industry connections. He said his mom used to work in the music industry. I'm not sure what she did and if she still does, but he also said his dad is DJ Enough from Hot 97, one of the stations that promoted Munch. DJ Enough is known for being Biggie's road DJ and also helped promote artists like 50 Cent, Kanye, and Future in their early careers. So with all the connects Ice Spice had early on, it's very possible Riot helped her get connected in the industry. On top of that, she definitely had some confirmed help beginning in April of 2022 after working with Stephen Dupree, a manager and A&R. He said in an Instagram post, "I knew Ice Spice was going to make an impact when I came across her TikTok 6 months ago. First day I came across her, I sent her music to my brother Tory Lanez and he saw what I saw. Shout out my brother James Roseman doing a great job with managing her." He also posted a picture of Ice's DMs with Tory Lanez talking about how Steven put Tory onto Ice Spice. Steven is also responsible for finding other artists such as Bryson Tiller and Jake. It's hard to say how well connected all these guys are, but I think it's safe to assume in April of 2022, Ice Spice got hooked up with some decent connects and a decent budget to help her get the music video for Munch on WorldStar alongside her On the Radar performance. And even though people were calling her an industry plant, it was not enough to stop her. Like I said, the majority of fans really enjoyed her song. And like I also said, her biggest tracks were yet to come. After her virality, she also showed up on Kai Cenat's stream, which really helped boost her career because Kai had the sauce.
You're going crazy right now. Can I get another track though? Like, I need another track.
It's a remix on the way.
She followed Munch up with the track Bikini Bottom, which was another song that played on her fun, goofy, careless, hot girl vibes. I mean, she sampled SpongeBob, so you can't be taking yourself that seriously.
How can I lose if I'm already chose? Like, if she feeling hot, then I make that bitch frozen. I get a bitch tired every time that I post.
Then she released her next single, which was a lot catchier and much more successful, charting at 58 on the Billboard Hot 100 and going platinum. In January of 2023, she released her debut EP, Like, which did have a few forgettable songs, but also many of the super successful ones that I mentioned. It did sell 15,000 first week and peaked at 37 on the Billboard 200. Ice Spice was going crazy. She released a collab song with Lil TJ that did very well, and then she released her biggest song ever, Boy's a Liar Part 2 with Pink Pantheress. This song went insane, peaking at 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. Eventually it went platinum, and as of now it has 800 million streams on Spotify. To this day, it's her biggest track. She followed up with Princess Diana featuring Nicki Minaj, which also went platinum. Then for some reason, she was featured on a remix of Taylor Swift's song Karma, which went viral because of the crazy crossover, and she even got a song in the Barbie movie alongside Nicki Minaj. Because of all this, Ice Spice was very likable. She was posting memes, joking with fans on Twitter, and just seemed like a really fun, relatable celebrity. One fan said, her rebrand into the friendly, relatable, down-to-earth girl next door did wonders for her.
Ice Spice, her likability is like 2,000,000%. And it's all because she just knows not to isolate anybody. Like, she don't come across like, yeah, like, I mean, in some of the lyrics, like she's talking about like, you know, yeah, like, yo, she looks good, this and third, but she's not preaching that city girl shit. She's not preaching, yeah, nah, these niggas.
While Ice Spice still did have her haters, she definitely had a huge fan base that was willing to ride for her. Excited to continue hearing some fun and catchy music.
Why do people hate Ice Spice?
Because she can't rap.
That's not true.
Over her track.
That's not true either.
I don't.
Clearly can rap if people are singing her songs.
I'm saying live. When she's on stage live. She's been having problems.
Well, who doesn't have problems as a new artist?
I know.
A fan said, they hate her because it's a trend. When you ask why, they never have an answer. But after all this insane success Ice Spice saw, it seemed like she just vanished. Late 2023 to early 2024 was pretty slow for Ice Spice. In November, she did announce her debut album Y2K and released the lead single Thank You the Shit, Fart, in January of 2024. She was playing on the popular meme that says the same thing, and it was definitely not taken seriously by fans. The song itself became a meme and was viral on things like TikTok, but at the same time, it was just another one of those funny joke type of songs. I mean, to be fair though, this was her highest solo charting song, so she was still doing all right. And just because that song sounds like it stinks, doesn't mean you have to. One thing I pride myself on is always smelling fresh. I'm not one of those people you walk by and make a face at, you know, like that face. It looks a little bit more like this when I walk by. The smell just smacks you up and draws you in. And that's why I'm thankful for my friends over at Scentbird. They've hooked me up with quite a few new fragrances recently. First one I picked up is Arabian's Tonka by Montale Paris, and I picked this one just because it reminded me of Yeet, but it smells phenomenal. The second one I got is Salt Caramel by Shea and Blue, which also has a tonka bean as an ingredient, so I had to pick it. The third one I got is Blue Talisman by Ex Nihilo, because this one just reminded me of the dude from Elden Ring. And the fourth one, which is my personal favorite, is Ormande Man by Ormande Jane. And I know I didn't say any of those names right, but this last one, it smells amazing. Every time I smell it, it feels like I'm being transported to a beach in Hawaii or something. Scentbird is great because you get to try a bunch of samples of fragrances without committing to one expensive bottle. You subscribe, you pick what you want, and you get it in the mail. Once you find the one that has you feeling like Jeremy Fragrance, you can confidently commit to a full bottle. They also come in these neat little vials that you can lock for travel so they don't leak, and it's super sleek and convenient. There's a huge variety of fragrances from big name guys like Gucci to indie brands as well. I love how convenient it is to try a bunch of different fragrances rather than just going out and buying a whole bottle and committing to something you're not sure you're gonna like. And you definitely don't want to be the guy at the store who's spraying every cologne in the air super obnoxiously. I even found my favorite fragrance I've ever had called Cedar and Acacia by Scents of Wood, and I found it as a sampler that Scentbird sent me. Now I'm really hoping that my girlfriend gets me the full bottle for Christmas, so if you see this, please do that. So if you're interested in trying out Scentbird, use MattyBalls55 or scan my QR code to get 55% off your first month at Scentbird. You can get the product for half of the price. That's just $8. And your next month will be only $16.95. That's a steal if you ask me. So again, make sure to check them out. Links are below. I highly recommend this product. I've been a big fan. We've done a few deals together. Huge fan of the product, so make sure to check them out. Now let's get back to the video. But after this, she didn't have much attention for a while. On occasion, she'd go viral for a concert performance, and she was always the topic of town on Twitter when she dropped some new Instagram pictures, if you know what I mean. And it was kind of starting to seem like the original complaints about Ice Spice were becoming true. I think Blackie Speaks put it very well when he said,
"Now, as for Ice Spice, her body is more popular than her music. And it's always been like that, whether it's the millions of young girls following her because they want to be like her, or whether it's the thirsty basement-dwelling teenage boys who get turned on when they see her fat ass."
One fan said in the comments of this video, "People underestimate how beneficial pretty privilege is." And a lot of people around this time were proving that point.
They trying to say, wait, back to my butt, they trying to say my
Yeah, what's up? They trying to say you lost.
They trying to say...
Wait, hold on. So why they say you lost ass?
It look mad dick right now.
There weren't too many eyes on Ice Spice throughout early 2024. She did have a brief beef with Lotto this year, but many fans even thought it was stupid. One person said, "I can't even enjoy Lotto and Ice Spice beef because I have no idea where this shit is stemming from. Why they got beef? What's the issue?" Ice Spice also had another controversy where her and Central C played into the fact that they were dating. Basically, a girl named Madeline RG was dating Central C, and he straight up left her and was hanging around Ice Spice the next day. And it all turned out to be PR for their collab track Did It First. They admitted they were just friends, so Central C really was the one who should have got most of the flack because he straight up used his ex for PR, and to be fair, a lot of people were pretty upset with him. But these weren't career-ending things, these were just some little blips along the way. However, everything would come crashing down for Ice Spice just a few months into the year. The first controversy was when one of her ex-friends and fellow artist Baby Stormy posted a bunch of texts between her and Ice Spice, along with making some big claims. Her friend said that Ice Spice was not who she pretended to be. Baby Stormy claimed Ice Spice made all of her friends sign NDAs. She said that Ice Spice was dating her producer Riot, and that she cheated on him with Lil TJ, and that Ice Spice was colorist. The issue of colorism is important to keep in mind going forward, and if you don't know what it means, the definition is prejudice or discrimination against individuals with a dark skin tone, typically among people of the same ethnic or racial group. Back to the leaks though. The texts that were leaked were around the time that Ice Spice was signing a deal with Nicki Minaj's label. Apparently her friend said, "Does she just not realize that she's asking for too much?" To which Ice Spice said, "No, she doesn't think so at all." She also said, "Hopefully, but we're about to put out another record in June for the Barbie soundtrack, which is an opportunity I brought her." Ice Spice continued, "Because Barbie asked me to do it alone, but since that's her brand, I invited her on, and she doesn't even see that as me bringing her something. She's kind of like my mom, ungrateful and delusional. I just cut her off, by the way, not speaking to her till January." Ice Spice also claimed that Nicki Minaj wanted all of the publishing to her songs. So these frustrations honestly weren't too bad, and they were somewhat understandable from Ice's side. People even turned on Ice Spice's friend for posting Ice's family business, saying, "You're going too far. She opened up to you about her family. This is not about the music industry or anything silly anymore. Do you understand how much you have to trust a person to be comfortable talking about your family with them?" And for a long time, Ice Spice went on without commenting on the situation.
When like stuff gets leaked, like text messages or whatever that aren't necessarily real, how do you like keep the blinders on and not acknowledge like the internet bullshit? Like, cause it's gotta be tough.
They gotta be.
It's, you know, sometimes I'm tempted to like engage with certain things.
Like, let me clear this shit up.
Yeah, and so, but then I also realized you're gonna just give it legs to like grow and like run with.
Right. Yeah.
And I think sometimes you can over-explain yourself a little bit. So I just kind of like to like just focus on what I can control and like what really is like what really matters, you know what I mean?
Eventually, though, Ice did comment on this, saying in reference to Nicki, "We don't have the closest relationship, you know, but we're definitely good." She also said, "I think the saddest part of the whole situation, it's somebody I knew for so many years and called my friend, had me open up and be vulnerable with them, and then took complete advantage of that for her own benefit." Another thing Baby Stormy tweeted about was a girl named Cleo. She said, "This is Cleo, the girl she chose to be her best friend to the public, when in reality, it was me behind the scenes." Cleo and her are not really best friends. Isis, which is Ice Spice's real name by the way, has always hated Cleo, but she used her so she could appear closer to blackness. She also lied about being Nigerian. She stole that from me. And a lot of people at the time actually clowned Baby Stormy for making these claims, but I want you guys to keep them in mind going forward. Ice Spice followed this controversy with the song Gimme a Light, which wasn't well received. A lot of people clowned her for saying "Big Ice, I don't need a writer," followed up by "I'm Miss Poopy, like I need a diaper." Like the poop bars were funny for maybe one track, but two? That's taking it too far. And people were getting tired of the repetitiveness of her music.
"I'm his poopy, like I need a diaper." "I'm his poopy, like I needed a diaper."
No. Bro, come on, bro. Bitch, you just said, "Bitch, I'm the shit, bitch, the fart." Come on, bro, that was your very last drop. Holy shit, this bitch sucks. Sorry, bro, that shit got me mad. What the fuck? Bro, she literally last song was like, "I'm the, bitch, you the shit, bitch, you not even the fart." Now you're gonna say, "I'm in shit, he's the poopy, I need to fart on him." What'd she say?
But things were just heating up as Ice Spice was about to drop her debut album. Ice Spice announced her album Y2K in June of this year, and announced the album cover as well. And off rip, A lot of people thought the cover was trash. I mean, the album name is literally on the trash can. A fan actually posted a picture where they changed the album cover up a bit, and Ice Spice responded saying, "You thought you made this better too, Delulu," which a lot of people thought was pretty rude to say to a fan who was probably just trying to make the cover better. You know, a lot of people make fan-made versions, recreating stuff, so off the bat, that wasn't a good look. Regardless, her debut album, Y2K, came out in July of 2024, and it wasn't very well received. One fan said on a Google review, "I actually liked a couple of Ice Spice's previous songs, so I was hopeful she'd bring something fresh and new to this project. Unfortunately, she did not. It's very similar beats with very similar bass notes and very similar lyrics over and over and over again. I feel like she could have the potential to make better music if she stopped trying to drop new projects or deluxe versions of existing projects every few months, and instead just focus on making a really good, high-quality album." I didn't know people actually used Google reviews, but this was a very accurate take on the situation. Many fans had similar complaints. Fast food type music. You already know what to expect, but if you're in the mood for it, then it's not too bad. This is what happens when folks gas up garbage, it stays garbage. And don't get me started on the poop bars. She was doing them way too much on this album. Like I said, it was funny for one song, but on like 5, that's just too much. She said, "I miss poopy, but I never smell" on BB Belt. Brody took a fake perk, now he got tummy runs on Plenty Sun, and I'm that I Miss Poopy on Deli. Deli was actually an old song, but you get the point. Nobody can make a poop bar sound good, and Ice Spice definitely can't either. One person on Twitter even said, "At this point, we gotta ask if she got a scat fetish, cause what is with the poop diaper and fart bars?" To which Ice Spice responded by saying, "I got a on bitches fetish." In defense of Ice Spice, this album did sell 28,000 copies first week. Ice Spice seemingly responded to the haters saying, "Like did 15K, so thank you to everyone who supported me then, and thank you to all the new supporters. Y2K World Tour been so fun that these numbers are cool and all, but you should have seen that Boston crowd last night. And while the numbers look good, the overall fan base or music community opinion didn't seem as good." So by this point in the year, Ice Spice was involved in a few controversies. Her music wasn't hitting the same, and she was mostly just going viral for her body or twerking at performances. She was already sort of declining, but the worst was yet to come. Remember Baby Stormy's claims from earlier that Ice Spice was using Cleo as her best friend to the public? Well, in May of this year, Baby Stormy tweeted a picture of her text with Ice Spice where Ice said, "Cleo FaceTimed me. In the call, she said, 'I'm so happy for you.' Sounded mad fake. And when we hung up, she said, 'I love you.' Like, no, you don't." And Baby Stormy captioned it, "Fake friends gotta stick together." Then in early September of this year, Cleo Trappa unfollowed Ice Spice on Instagram, and fans noticed it quickly. It was only a few days after Ice Spice's tour ended, and Cleo Trappa, if you're unaware, was her opener. A fan on Twitter said in regards to this situation, "Nah, for real, she was about that bag and nothing else." Basically trying to say that Cleo was just trying to get money off the tour, then stop talking to Ice Spice. But Cleo replied, "Y'all thinking I got paid is hilarious. I was played, betrayed, and unpaid." She also said, "I never had a problem with not being paid, by the way. I knew. I just wanted everyone to stop thinking I was paid because I wasn't." Also, quick side note, I checked out Cleo's music while I was researching this, and she's actually fire. Way better of an artist than Ice Spice, I promise. So you guys should support her, especially because she didn't get paid on that tour. Check her out. Then to clarify all these tweets, Cleo posted a 6-part series on her TikTok explaining the situation. It was almost an hour, so I'm not going to play all of the clips, but I'll do my best to summarize it for you guys. Actually, let me play you this one because it kind of explains how she got on the tour in the first place.
July, I get a call from Ice very early in the morning. "Cleo, come on tour with me. I miss you. Come." And I'm just like, "Girl, I'm not about to come on tour with you and watch you perform all month. Like, I got a nigga. I got stuff that I can be doing. I can be getting money. I have opportunities in New York. I have brand deals. I have things that I need to focus on. So for me to travel all over the United States with you to watch you perform kind of crazy." She's like, "No, I want you to perform." And I gagged. "You want me to perform?" She ain't never, ever brought me out on stage.
A big part of this controversy is that Ice Spice was accused of being colorist, something I mentioned earlier. And that was one reason a lot of people thought she spontaneously brought Cleo Trappa on tour, and Cleo herself thought this was the reason she was brought on the tour.
Ice Spice apparently was, from what's being alleged, using her for PR. Even Cleo Trappa talked about that, like being the dark-skinned female friend.
Nothing that you do is genuine. Everything is calculated. Like I said, I was the token black friend. You didn't have your other best friend around because you said that she didn't match your aesthetic. Like, there's something very wrong with somebody that is only friends with somebody for their aesthetic.
Aside from that, Cleo made a bunch of other claims. She said that she thought the reason she was invited was to make up for that fake shit that got exposed a month ago, which was referring to the Baby Stormy situation. Then she claimed that she got no promo on the tour, that her name wasn't on the bills for any of the performances, she had no help carrying her luggage, and she had to pay for her own hotel rooms, even though Ice Spice said she wouldn't have to pay expenses. Cleo also said she had no room backstage during her involvement in the tour, unlike other invited guests, and that she was initially not allowed to bring anyone, even though her assistant joined her at one point. Cleo even said that she was denied a chicken salad because that wasn't a part of the tour budget. For some reason, one of the most popular claims that people were talking about is that Cleo wasn't invited to a steakhouse dinner, which we'll see come up more later. Cleo also showed a bunch of texts where she complained about all this stuff to Ice Spice directly, to which Ice Spice said Cleo was ungrateful. She even said that when she was on stage performing, people in the backstage were using her debit card to buy stuff, which is just insane if that's true. At the end of this video series, she said in the caption, "And I want to apologize to my fans who've been trying to say I was the token black friend. It's all good, y'all will never see me with that girl again. That's it for this, and I feel so relieved. Now y'all can stop making up these stories." Then a guy who claimed to be a backup hairstylist who was on the Y2K tour also spoke out in defense of Cleo Trappa, seemingly confirming her claims.
So now I get back in the room with Ice. She on FaceTime with Riot. She letting him know, like, yeah, she doing too much. She blowing my scale. She was like, bitches gotta go. They asking for too much. Woo, woo. Bitches acting broke. Like, I'm really tired of her black ass. And I'm like, damn, like, why does she keep saying this? Like, what?
However, after this, Ice Spice's main hairstylist came in and said that the backup dude wasn't even there and was just trying to get clout. So this part of the controversy is really a he said, she said type of situation, and we might not ever know who's telling the truth. Regardless, these claims were not a good look, especially because Ice Spice and Cleo seemed like they were good friends. So it really just made it seem like Ice Spice was a fake friend who was using Cleo for the reasons that she suggested. After all of these allegations were made, Ice Spice's manager James Roseman decided to step in. He suggested he and his team gave Cleo Trappa an opportunity, and the onus is on her management team to decide if agreeing to the tour would be a rational decision. He said, "You have to invest in yourself, aka pay expenses if need be for the opportunity. It's corny. Someone gives you an opportunity and this is the thanks the person gets. Openers don't have the same things headliners have." He continued to say the entitlement and ego are crazy. And I think it's safe to say this wasn't the best way to respond to these allegations. Then Ice Spice addressed the allegations in a Twitter space, saying that she was the one who actually noticed her friends using her for clout.
And you want me to try to like analyze this shit and figure out how I'm wrong when all I did was share my stage with you? When I ain't even have to do that? You got less than 10,000 listeners and I'm sharing my stage with you and you feeling so entitled, like you thinking that my peoples that work for me is supposed to work for you too? Like that's so crazy to me. Like how I'm in the shower, you gon' barge in while I'm butt-ass naked trying to press me about some bags, that you gotta carry some bags. What? Like,
one fan commented under the post saying, "And she's literally not helping her own case. Her not hearing about the chicken salad and highlights Cleo not bringing it up after the first luggage incident, which she stated in this story time. Now you on Spaces little girling her." After the whole situation, Ice Spice posted a few polls saying, "What should I do for dinner? Steakhouse or chicken salad?" And "On my flight board, so let's play Would You Rather. Be a mean bad bitch or be a stupid bum bitch." She has since deleted them, but a fan said, "This kind of just validates everything that was said about her." And this drama was not a good look for her. Like I said, tons of people were talking about the drama, saying she was falling off and really making it seem like her career was about to be over. Ice Spice had lost most of her likability and relatability. People found out she was mean, they thought she was colorist. Basically, she just seemed like a bad person. And it's crazy to say that this is even a controversy, but there was people trying to say that she was using Ozempic because she looked a lot skinnier. So throughout Throughout all of these other controversies, she lost some of her die-hard horny fans who only liked her for her body. But don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of people that have their jaws dropping to the floor every time she posts a picture. So after having her personality, her looks, and all these other things snatched away from her because of all these allegations, the one thing she had left was her music. And well, her music had lost its touch. Like we saw, when she released her debut album, she got a ton of hate and criticism. Most recently, she released the music video for her track Popa off of Y2K, and she got a ton of hate. It has almost as many dislikes as likes, and most of the comments are super negative. Is this a BBL ad? Nicki Minaj influence is so real. I refuse to believe people think this is good. Wow, not even 1 million a day? Not even 500,000. Oh, people really not f***ing with her anymore. So after everything I just talked about, it seems like her haters really outgrew her fans, as most of her music videos are bombarded with dislikes, and most of her other posts on social media are filled with people hating on her. Over the past year, she has lost over 25 million monthly listeners, and after the recent controversy, she has lost over 500,000 followers on Instagram. And at the end of the day, it seemed like the original complaints were accurate, as Ice Spice just ended up being another artist pushed and marketed by the industry with no rapping skills apart from her drill style and a personality that was seemingly manufactured for likability. Like I said though, she did have decent sales on her last project, and recently even came out to a Sexy Red show with one fan saying, "Thought she fell off?" So I do definitely think it's possible she can make a comeback despite how many people absolutely hate her right now, but she has significantly damaged her career, resulting in a lot of hate. To actually fix her career, I think she needs to be a better person and actually evolve as an artist rather than putting out the same type of songs over and over. But who knows if that day will ever come. DJ Khaled is another artist who was once very favored among the music fans, but over his career has encountered a number of controversies that have really had people switching up. So if you want to learn more about that, feel free to click the video that's on screen right now. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. If you like, please leave a like. If you really enjoyed, please subscribe down below. Other than that, it's been Matty Balls, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks again to Scentbird for sponsoring this video. Make sure to use my code MattyBalls55 or scan the QR code that's on screen right now to get that sweet 55% off discount. And
Have you ever met somebody in our business that, like, before they were popping, they were kind of and then once they became very successful, they were the biggest?
I don't know too many people in our business that are really successful at your level or my level that are dicks.
Yeah, well, let me think about that. Yeah.
While Andrew ponders his latest epiphany, welcome back to the channel, and I'm going to give this to you guys right up front today so I don't get any complaints. The cringe I've got for you in this video is off the charts. So if you're one of my regulars, you'll know I don't always give these warnings, but when I do, yeah, I'm not joking around, because on the latest episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Andrew Schultz made an appearance, and at this point, it's undeniable that he has come full circle and completed his downfall. Schultz is officially a clown. The comment section on YouTube was absolutely wild. I've never seen so much negativity towards a JRE guest compared to this. Here are just a few to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Wow, the comments are so negative, I thought that burp was on. 3 minutes in, and he's already had 2 fake Schultz epiphanies. He tries to pretend to be interested and have deep insights, like he read How to Win Friends and Influence People for Dummies. Nobody gives it up for Andrew like Andrew. Watch Schultz say a bunch of nothing while trying to sound intelligent. Damn, the internet really flipped on this guy. Jamie, pull up the documentary Andrew made about how successful he is, where he cries about his achievements. Andrew is the exact type of guy that thinks comedians are modern-day philosophers. Just coming here for the comments, roasting both Andrew's haircut and enormous ego. Andrew's moustache isn't allowed within 500 feet of a school. That's actually the top comment. Guests like him make me appreciate the comment section being back. I could honestly fill a whole video just reading the comments from this episode, and I wouldn't even scratch the surface. And it's funny because every now and then a fan of one of Rogan's 6 never-been-funny comedians will show up in my comment section and say something like, "Oh, what's with all the hate for this guy?" Or, "Why does everyone hate Berg or Tom or whoever it is?" Well, I can safely say that it's not the case with Andrew Schultz anymore. Everyone seems to be in on the joke that he has become, and you guys know I've tried to point out his good days whenever I can. Just look at the most recent video on this channel. People were even saying that it was the beginning of his redemption arc. Sadly, this episode of JRE proves the exact opposite. And the best part is, Schultz explained in a couple of sentences exactly what went wrong with his career, except he just didn't realize he was talking about himself.
Okay, so then there's the question. It's like, can you take a completely normal person, give them power, and then they become that? Or does it take a power-hungry person that has this void that they need to be filled, that needs to be filled, and then when they are given that power, you see the word version of it?
So if you saw the intro of this video, this was part of the discussion about how some people in their business, being stand-up comedy, let the power get to their heads and show their true colors. Let me just clarify this for you. Joe Rogan and Andrew Schultz were discussing the problem in show business where some celebrities let the power get to their heads, start to treat people like scum, and show their true colors. Joe Rogan and Andrew Schultz were just... Okay, I've made my point.
They feel that they can kind of boss people around or throw their weight around to their assistant or their agents. Maybe they yell when they shouldn't yell or don't have to yell or are demeaning to certain people.
That bothers me, though.
Oh, I hate it. I don't like it at all. And then they feel terrible for no reason when the same exact situation can be handled with a hug. You tell them you appreciate them, you hold their hand, you shake their hand, give them a hug, and everybody feels good. Yeah, that should be what the goal is. Like, you're the guy who is in this very unique, unusual situation, and you have the ability to make everybody feel better. There's some people that just feel entitled, and they don't feel it. There's certain things that do happen around certain successful people. You'll see they have a few people that have resentment that are around them that realize, like, oh, I'm a support person, and I only have so much room that I can climb. I can never be Andrew Schultz. I'm always going to be this guy who works with Andrew Schultz. Some people are just crazy, which is why they're in show business in the first place. And they have a distorted perception of reality, and they're not good at being objective. They're not good at seeing the big picture.
Yeah, I seriously don't understand how Rogan can say those things out loud with a straight face, knowing that Schultz has created that exact same situation on his Flagrant podcast, where he has a bunch of yes men that sit around to laugh at Schultz's jokes and gas him up. But one thing we know about our boy Andy is that he's a real deep thinker. He loves an epiphany, and this episode was full of them. So what I did was I pulled out my 3 favorite Schultz epiphanies for you guys so you can decide which one is the most cringe. Like, actually, let me know in the comments below. And remember, I warned you.
I didn't know that when we're sending money to Ukraine, we're not really even sending money there. We're sending money to American military manufacturers to make weapons, and then the weapons go to Ukraine. But we're paying us. Okay. The money is going to these different industries first. So it's kind of staying in America, which does, I guess, boost our economy in some way. Like, those people need to hire people. The economy starts to do it. No, but I mean, like, no, for real. Like, it's like they have to hire people. They have to pay people. Like, and that's why war is good for the economy. We constantly need conflict in order to continue the positive momentum of the economy. But they can't say that. They can't go, hey, we need war in order for the economy to be good.
They're not thinking about the economy. They're thinking about the money that they are specifically going to make from these transactions. And then attach it to different bills, right? Like, attach it to the border bill. Attach it to the education bill.
Randomly has
we got to educate those Russians about our bombs. They got to know about a Tomahawk missile.
So how do you stop that? Could AI be this next? Could AI for us be what mushrooms were for these primates?
But times a billion.
Exactly. So mushrooms come around, the apes start using tools, doing whatever they want, and then now you accelerate evolution.
Well, the mushrooms probably are the seed for artificial intelligence, because the mushrooms give you the creativity to start doing wild things in the first place, which always leads to technology, which leads to a life form. Once they become sentient, then they become God, because they make better versions of themselves with no end in sight. If something becomes so advanced that it has control over those forces, and it utilizes all of those forces, and it literally has a complete understanding of everything that's happening at every given time in the entire universe.
If it happens in our lifetime, our generation will have lived before the internet, and singularity.
Yeah, the singularity.
What a crazy
2045
existence.
is what Kurzweil believes.
Imagine we lived through all of that. Imagine we lived through the time where I couldn't get in touch with you unless you were home and
yell out
could
the
hear
window.
your phone.
Yeah.
And we could also live in a time where I could instantaneously be at your house.
Yeah, in the same life.
And that's the
What to
problem with
believe.
information right now. It's like, I don't think we know what to believe about anything. It's like, even the trans visibility day thing, like every headline was Biden declares Easter Trans Visibility Day.
Right.
And I read it and I was like, there is no way. And I looked into it. Trans Visibility Day started like 15 years ago.
Right.
3 years ago, they declared it. And then Easter obviously changes every year the date. It doesn't change the day.
Right.
And then it ends up on the Sunday. But the headline is Biden declares Easter Trans Visibility Day.
Right.
Once I read that and I know it's fake, now every headline is fake to me. They're all using it because there's money to be made out of it.
Clicks.
That click is valuable, and they will knowingly, like we were talking about that woman earlier with the Huberman thing. There is money to be made out of that.
Yes.
And as long as there is money to be made from it, they'll
go for it.
And they'll remove information that is incredibly important to the truth of the story.
Yeah.
I don't know how you solve that.
So I'm tossing up between Schultz discovering the military-industrial complex and his realization that content creators use clickbait to make money. On the one hand, President Eisenhower used the term military-industrial complex in his farewell address way back in 1961 when he warned that we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. So Schultz is over 60 years late with that one. But then on the other hand, Schultz has made a career from clickbait, exaggeration, and scamming his fans, which I'll get into in more detail in a moment. So the clickbait thing for me is either just sheer stupidity on his behalf or just a massive blind spot that he's yet to see. It's a tough choice, but if I had to choose, I'm gonna have to go with the military-industrial complex. Rogan has spoken about this a million times on his podcast, and for a 40-year-old man like Schultz to only just be realizing this 60 years after President Eisenhower warned about it, it really just goes to show how much of a casual he is when it comes to politics and
my chest. Lost a little weight, but I ain't never lost a cushy. Looking good, but now my bald head match my pussy. Looking good, but now they all saying that I'm ugly. Boo-hoo, my nigga, I ain't sad you won't fuck me.
Doja Cat, Queen, dropped a new track.
My chest. Lost a little weight, but I ain't never.
Over 14 hours of secret Project 2025 training videos aimed at future political appointees. What they revealed is that the people behind Project 2025 are just as sinister and anti-democratic as we all thought, but also that they're a bunch of freaks who deserve to be bullied. Luckily, I have a lot of experience bullying freaks. Today's freak is Alexei Wolternost, a no-type Catholic priest who looks like this.
I'm Alexei Wolternost.
Welcome back, Grigory Rasputin. When Alex isn't peddling cure-alls to the Tsar and Tsarina, he's a chronic blue check retweeter on twitter.x.com. Concerning. Hi, I'm Hoops. This is my channel, and I already reacted to one Project 2025 training video, but the sickos in my audience overwhelmingly voted in favor of another. So we're back to learn about what Project 2025 has to say about how to work with the media. But before we discover what Alex Wolternost has to say about working with the media, I've got to do a little work with today's sponsor, Ground News. Ground News is a website and app developed by a former NASA engineer on a mission to give readers an easy, data-driven, objective way to read the news. Every story comes with a quick visual breakdown of the political bias, factuality, and ownership of the sources reporting, all backed by ratings from 3 independent news monitoring organizations. Let me show you how some of it works. You can use Ground News to compare how the same story is being reported on in various different outlets. Take this story about Project 2025 co-author Russell Bott discussing his plans for a second Trump presidency in camera footage. As you can see, at the top, this story is mostly reported on in left-leaning outlets with a few centrist outlets, and it isn't being reported on at all in right-leaning media. And by comparing the headlines, we can see what different outlets are emphasizing in this story. Salon is highlighting the fact that not claimed in the hidden camera footage that Trump was supportive of Project 2025's plans. The Intercept is raising alarm bells over Vought, confirming that Project 2025 plans to ban all porn sites on the internet, while the more centrist publications like Newsweek have less eye-catching headlines. But Brown News doesn't just let me check the media bias on the articles I read. Features like The Blind Spot allow me to find the stories that aren't being reported on by one side of the political spectrum. Brown News has tons of features, and they're fully unlocked with the Vantage plan. You can subscribe through my link or scan the QR code for 40% off unlimited access to everything Brown News offers, but plans can start at less than $1 a month. Having a tool like Brown News will help you sort through the bullshit. Check out the link in my description, brown.news/hoots, to give yourself the right tools to be informed without being misinformed. Thanks to Brown News for sponsoring this video. If you'd like to see an ad-free version of this and all of my videos, head to patreon.com/littlehoot. Is that it? Is that my Patreon? What the fuck is my Patreon? Patreon.com/littlehoot, right? Yeah. Head to patreon.com/hoot, littlehoot. Clearly, I am very bad at my job. If you'd like to see an ad-free version of this and all of my videos, head to patreon.com/littlehoot and become a member today. Walternist, like the vast majority of the speakers in these leaked Project 2025 training videos, is a former staffer under the Trump administration, serving as the Assistant Secretary of Public Affairs of the Department of Homeland Security. Since leaving the Trump administration, he's gone on to co-found Athos, an agency and PR firm that seems to represent a few dozen right-wing authors and remains optimistic about representing TV and film talent one day. Walternist seems an odd choice to be the face of conservatives working with the media because this man is utterly rizless. In fact, he has negative riz. He is up to his eyeballs in riz debt, and he is close to defaulting into riz. His speech is awkward and stilted, and he has this air of barely contained rage and bitterness that just screams, "You'll pay for this when Father finds out." Alexei Walternist's first recommendation for incoming appointees is to have a sense of ownership. He accuses Republican staffers of craving approval from the media for doing their job and chalks this up to what he describes as an inferiority complex amongst communications staffers.
And you'll notice time and time again, for those staffers who go in, they frankly embarrass themselves because they're craving that approval.
Oh, he's mad. He's big mad. Jennifer at work got invited to coffee with Ross Douthat one day in 2018, and Alexei has been whispering imprecations on her name for the last 2,000 nights. Walternist asks his audience to consider if they're entering a conservative administration for the right reasons, or if they're just doing it to build their public profile. And that's such a valid question, because as a YouTuber, I know firsthand that conservatives working with and in the media are ideological purists who face an uphill struggle in a hostile media landscape not utterly dominated by culture war nonsense easily weaponized by the right wing in order to monopolize the attention. Alexei then warns that Democrat staffers will get big payouts and careers in lobbying Fortune 500 companies and as spokespeople after leaving an administration, but not Republicans. Nobody picks me.
If you're going into a liberal administration, after you finish, there's the big payouts, the Fortune 500 company jobs, the big lobbying jobs, the big spokesperson jobs. That frankly doesn't exist for a lot of those who work in a conservative administration.
I do not know where he's getting this information. The revolving door between lobbying jobs and jobs on the Hill is well known, and it's not just limited to Democrats. And most CEOs at Fortune 500 companies have overwhelmingly supported Republican administrations, so it doesn't seem like they'd have much of an issue hiring former Republican staffers. And there are plenty of private Christian universities and law schools that offer lucrative teaching and speaking jobs to conservatives. The only way this logic kind of logics is if you replace the word conservative with Trump. Because while most corporate entities, universities, and institutions are very welcoming to most mainstream Republicans, Trump is wildly unpopular with many of them. So it stands to reason that like maybe they'd be a little bit weary of hiring his friends. Also, maybe Alex Wolternist's personal experiences have biased him a little bit, because I imagine that many of his job applications have never made it past the interview stage. Maybe you'd get more jobs if you didn't have the charisma of an empty shoebox, Alexei. He claims that staffers fall into the trap of trying to audition for the jobs that will go to liberals, basically establishing a reality where that is a pipe dream. Therefore, it's more in service of the administration and the staffer watching this video right now to not be cooperative with legacy. He says that your job as a political appointee is a job in public service, and you are there to serve the American public. Good. Very good. And you are there to serve the president and the president's agenda. Okay. The president and the president's agenda is a recurring theme in this video, in particular because he is preparing future appointees for a reality in which the president's agenda is at constant odds with the media. It won't be at odds with the American people because they elected the president, more or less, but it will be at odds with the media, who are not the people. In fact, they might even be the enemy of the people. And you, as an appointee working with the media, have to be ready to be the president's first line of defense, most likely putting your own career and reputation on the line in service of whatever undemocratic nonsense he's feuding with the media about today.
And done right, you give more than you get back. So the whole mentality of you're going in to advance a career, to make a name for yourself, or to find some promising, lucrative job after the fact, it's very misguided, but also it's very transparent, and you can tell that's what people are in it for.
My personal conspiracy theory is that Alexei went into the Trump administration thinking that the quirky Rasputin grip would be his signature thing, like the hair and self-fan, Donald signature things, and that he'd be the next big conservative superstar. And very quickly figured out that he's the guy who gets pushed into lockers by guys who got pushed into lockers. Like, bro is so uncool, he makes Ben Shapiro look like fucking Idris Elba.
Every time you talk with the media, you're going to be dedicated to the important things. What is my job in disseminating information to the public? You're not going to be seeking their approval, and you're going to be focused on implementing the president's agenda, and you're going to also keep touch with the American people. Oftentimes when you're communicating with the public, you can feel this pressure from legacy, mainstream, liberal media outlets to tell them what they want to hear, rather than what the people elected for the president to enact.
Alexei then reminds future appointees of their place in the whole process, and reminds them that not everyone working in communications will get to be in front of the camera and be the press secretary, which seems like an unnecessary management of expectations. Like, it's pretty obvious that most political appointees are not going to be expecting the position of White House press secretary. Seeing as only one person is going to be the press secretary. Like, it seems like a very weird thing to warn people about. Unless you buy the theory that Alexei is personally bitter and resentful because he imagined it was going to be his face up there in lights until Trump picked that hag, Haley. He also mentions how people in these positions think to themselves, if only I do enough behind the camera work, then maybe I'll get to be in front of the camera.
If only I do enough behind camera work, then I'll get in front of the camera.
And I have to ask, Alex, do people think that to themselves? Or did Alexei Wolternist think that to himself? He's so boring. Like, I have to imagine him as a bitter, jaded starlet jilted by the industry and ready to throw himself off the Hollywood sign just to get through this fucking video. He then underlines the importance of implementing the president's agenda again and preempts accusations of appointees ruining appointees, hand-waving any criticism of unelected appointees as little more than frustrating bureaucrats.
Another important matter to understand is your duties as a political appointee. Whenever you're in a position like this, you're in a position of the public trust, where you work on behalf of the American people, and you also have another job to implement the agenda of the president who is elected. Oftentimes, when people are in these positions, they'll talk about political appointees almost as they're ruining a system that's working effectively without them. But actually the opposite is true. Without political appointees, the government has no real way to implement the will of the president. That is a bureaucracy who is running things rather than the president himself.
He identifies career officials as these sort of stewards of the government, like they're the fucking White House janitors or something. And he says that these unelected political appointees are there actually to enforce the president's will.
The career officials are there to arguably keep the regular functioning parts of the government running, but the political appointees are there to be the direct will of the people in implementing the president's agenda.
He is setting up future political appointees to be somewhat in conflict with career politicians, and definitely in conflict with the mainstream media, who he views as fundamentally hostile to President Trump's, meaning Project 2025's, vision.
When you are in these positions, particularly when you're communicating with the media, it is important to let them know this thing that you elected the president to do, they are doing it.
He then goes on this vague rant about how the media and career bureaucrats will try to limit your powers with the media by saying that you can't say anything too political. And he sort of vaguely relates to the Department of the Interior's digital team. Like, honestly, I had to use Google just to figure out what the fuck he was whining about. So basically, in October of 2020,
election year,
there were concerns that a video the Department of the Interior released on their Twitter praising the Trump administration might violate the Hatch Act, which limits certain public political activity for government employees. Basically, in the US, we prefer our government propaganda to come from Marvel movies, not from the National Park Service. Despite these concerns, the Department of the Interior's ethics office ultimately signed off on the video, and the tweet is still up. But what Alexei Wolternist is pissing and moaning about is that there is even an ethics office with lawyers to sign off on tweets in the first place, which is a wild thing for the co-founder of a PR firm to be upset about. Like, if I was your client, the bare minimum I would expect is that you be proofreading my tweets to make sure they're not breaking any federal laws. But then he advocates talking to lawyers and asking them, is this legal? So I don't know what girly pop even knows what she's advocating for. She's just bitter, she hasn't had her coffee this morning, and she needs you to know it. I'm like, relatable. Next, Alexei tells us how the media works. He tells us there are two categories of media. The first is legacy media, consisting of the major newspapers and networks.
The second category is what many would consider the more political or partisan media, which would include outlets that most of you probably read, like The Federalist, The Daily Caller, Washington Free Beacon, The Daily Signal.
He criticizes the mentality of craving the approval of legacy media and treating conservative media like second-tier media. And I agree with him. Conservative media is not second-tier. It's got to be D-tier at best. The Mixed and that mixed factuality rating of the Daily Caller over on Ground News is doing a lot of work. They must get points for spelling the names right. Alex then brings up the money in legacy media, highlighting the fact that they need to create salacious content in order to get eyeballs so that they can sell ads, unlike the principled journalists over at the Daily Caller and Fox News. Girlie, I know that revenue in media is a huge problem, but let's not pretend it's the exclusive or even primary domain of the Washington Post and the Atlantic. If I accidentally click on a Fox or a New York Post link, my ad blocker starts sending me suicide threats. Who do you think you're fooling? Well, people who don't read legacy media, obviously. He warns against getting too cozy with legacy outlets.
If the New York Times is writing a glowing profile on you, you're doing something wrong. Because they are certainly to the left, and if you're serving a conservative administration, you should not be getting glowing reviews from the left.
He then goes on to say that people would try to get legacy media approval by leaking. Trump's first term was infamous for many juicy leaks, some of which were published into best-selling books we all bought, read, and immediately forgot about. And listen, I'm sure some of the appointees who leaked to the media were doing so to facilitate a simpatico relationship with the press. But also, some of them were doing it because Trump and half the people he appointed were fucking coconuts and messy, and that tea was too hot to stay in the cup. Like, I'm sorry you weren't likable enough to be in the burn book group chat, Alex, but sometimes you just gotta blow off some steam and talk shit about your boss over some appleteenies with some of the bitches from the New York Times. And if the goss is juicy enough, they might even give you some answers for tomorrow's spelling bee.
They want leaks to stymie any type of conservative administration agenda.
No, they want leaks because it's a good story, dipshit. This victimhood conspiracy theory shit is honestly getting weird. The reason they're leaks and not a press release in the first place is usually because it's something an organization doesn't want the public to know about, and the blank that they don't want you to know about is always a good headline. And then he dunks mercilessly on conservative voters.
The American people who vote for a conservative presidential administration, they're not reading the New York Times. They're not reading the Washington Post. Actually, to the contrary. If those outlets publish something, they're going to assume it's false.
The American people who vote for a conservative president, they're not reading the New York Times. They're not reading the Washington Post. They're reading Minions memes on Facebook, and they're scared. He says that the only way to reach conservative voters is through conservative media outlets.
For many of these people, if it's not in these conservative outlets, it didn't happen or it's not true.
Notice how he's not saying because it actually didn't happen or because it actually isn't true. But the conservative perception of mainstream media being untrustworthy is deliberately pushed by partisan media. He claims that over the past few decades, legacy media have attacked conservatives and then have been shown to have been lying or reported something that is false. Which just feels like another ad for the Ground News Factuality Checker. Please go sign up for them so that they give me more money.
So the conservative media can bring a certain credibility to the table, but also they can bring a reach that you can't have otherwise.
So true. What you really need is credibility when dealing with a demographic that eats horse paste and thinks that their grandchildren are being forced to pee in a litter box at public school. Alex carries on with more borderline conspiracy nonsense about how legacy media doesn't want to make conservative administrations look effective before conceding that the only thing legacy media is really good for is factually covering what is occurring.
They can factually cover what is occurring.
Like, sure. Legacy publications can be relied on to report facts and pursue truth or whatever. But are those really things we want from our media? Alexei then recommends giving conservative media outlets scoops and embargoing information for them because they need a little more help.
It's also important to keep in mind the resource disparity. If I'm a legacy media outlet, I have hundreds or sometimes even thousands of reporters that I can throw on beats upon beats.
They're just a little guy, and it's their birthday. They're a little birthday boy.
Sometimes you need to do a little bit of hand-holding, where you reach out to an editor beforehand, you can embargo something, and help them with their resource allocation just by simply giving them a heads up.
The last thing Alexei discusses are tactics for communicating with the American people. He tells appointees that they need to be part of drafting any and all press releases in order to maintain control of messaging to the American people. Your press release can't simply tell the truth. Telling the truth can be bad messaging for the American people. You should also spice up those press releases because the American people are stupid and inattentive. They're on their phones. In fact, I bet you're on your phone right now. Shame on you. He encourages appointees to make background calls and have off-the-record discussions with various outlets, dangling access to officials in exchange for positive coverage. Maybe he's a good PR guy after all.
The media needs to understand that you are a gatekeeper, and that you're going to help them do their job, and you need to create an incentive structure where they want to come to you rather than go around you. So by helping them do their job better, by setting them up with important officials who are making decisions, you can help them trust you that you're in the know, but also help them come to you when they're writing a story.
If a journalist is interviewing you about a potentially damaging story, Alexei recommends throwing them off by essentially negging them.
And say, what are the facts as you understand them? What facts can I give you that can tell you that you're wrong? And that oftentimes will take them aback because they're never really asked that. And also you can ask them about how they're doing their job. You can say, okay, you're writing a story. Am I the last call that you're making? Who else have you talked to? Have you been researching this? Or ask them about how they came to the conclusions they have.
like your beard, Alex. Do you normally groom it, or did you just not have time this morning? The game came out in 2005, Alex. Nobody can be thrown off your weak-ass meds, especially not a New York Times journalist on the White House beat. The last thing Alex discusses is op-eds and speeches. For crafting speech for public-facing officials in the future Trump administration, Alexei Wolternist urges appointees not to get caught in the churn of rushing out speeches and to plan some of them ahead by asking themselves the following questions.
What would a life-changing speech look like? What would a speech be like that everyone is talking about for the next few months? What does a speech look like that the New York Times editorial board is going to have a meltdown over?
Stunning. Set your goals and your dreams high, Alex. He closes out with this banger.
But if you truly decide to make a sacrificial move and sacrifice for your country, and that's your reason for serving, everyone will be able to tell, and your country will be better for it.
So I want to close this video by honoring those who made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. Political appointees in the Trump administration. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm dying over here.
It was such a old art form.
Did you ever see Jeff? I don't want to interrupt. I want you to keep talking about this going forward to this. But did you ever see Jeff? Did you ever see
You don't want to?
I don't know.
Go ahead. Seems like you kind of do, dude.
I've been really good at this conversation. You're my partner. I've been really good.
Very proud of you. I can't imagine how many times you've wanted to interrupt if you think you've been really good. Is cracking up right now. You must interrupt a lot, huh?
You were saying?
No, God. You already interrupted. You might as well follow through now. Go ahead. Come on. You already did it. Technically, you already interrupted. Finish it. Well, that's just a bad interruption.
And we're back with Two Bears, One Cave, featuring one of the best roasters in the world, Tony Hinchcliffe. And it looks like YMH Studios are continuing the trend of posting episodes of Two Bears within a week of recording instead of 3 months later, even though everyone's over the roast of Tom Brady by now. But not only that, YMH Studios are also continuing to improve the podcast after their fake apology a few weeks ago, where they announced that they're going to make a few changes. Even the titles are different now. For example, Tony Hinchcliffe roasts the Bears, so they're obviously trying to make their videos more clickable to improve their view count. And we also saw a couple of weeks ago when they had Jimmy Carr on straight after the Tom Brady roast, just how much better the podcast was when the guest roasts Bert throughout the episode. So it's good to see they finally accepted reality and moved into the final phase of their show by leaning into what everyone's been saying this whole time, which, I'm not going to lie, does make it a lot more watchable. Unfortunately, their newfound awareness started to wear off throughout the episode as they started attacking their fans and blaming us for bombing at the roast. So I'll get to that towards the end where they start sniffing each other's farts. But don't forget, if you want to see my full breakdown of the Tom Brady roast, you can use the link in the description and head over to my Patreon where there aren't any copyright restrictions or censorship requirements. For now though, let's get started with a compilation of Tony Hinchcliffe roasting Tom and Bert for bombing their set at the roast. And just for context, they were discussing how difficult it was for Tony to get onto mainstream shows like the Tom Brady roast because he's been doing his own thing with Kill Tony and Hollywood have been ignoring him. A lot of the executives didn't really know who he was, and he had to jump through all these hoops to finally get onto the roast.
People hate you. I know. It's not as easy. I know. Not all of us are fucking darlings like you fucking chubby-headed fucks. Anyway, so...
We should tell you our story. I think it'll really frustrate you.
I think you hate our story.
Oh, well.
No, I'll tell you when we're done. I'll tell you
if it's anything like the set, I probably would hate it. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. You guys phoned it in like an Israeli airstrike. I'm joking. Anyway. Bert was lip syncing my set and his set at the same time.
Tell me.
Okay, anyway.
Wait.
I'd start showing them jokes, which I didn't do the whole time because you don't want other writers or anybody to hear any of your actual material.
Yeah.
I mean, they could hear your guys' material, but I mean my good material. I didn't want them to hear any killer jokes I had written.
Yes. This will probably make some people crazy, maybe make you crazy. A few nights later, I was at the forum for my show.
Yeah.
Netflix executives came by that show, talking about the roast, asked if I wanted to be involved in the next roast.
Oh, wow.
And that's after that set.
Damn, they didn't even ask me that. That's how
isn't that crazy?
hated I am by the industry. Because you guys went out there and did what you did. And you're already being invited to the next one.
Yeah, it isn't even booked yet.
Yeah. I fucking decimate, and I have no idea what's going on.
Well, we'll see if we can put a word in for you.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'll send you a screen grab of the text I sent.
I can't wait.
Tony, you want to? If you want, you can write for us.
So you can see there's a massive difference between Tony and Tom and Bert. Tony goes way harder in the paint compared to those guys. Back in 2021, he did a set straight after an Asian guy, and he opened with a racial slur, which ended up resulting in his agency dropping him. Obviously, he's doing fine now. He has one of the biggest live podcasts in the world in Kim Tony, and they're selling out arenas, which is wild. But even though his first comedy special premiered on Netflix back in 2016, he's mostly just done his own thing. And whatever you think of Tony Hinchcliffe, you've got to admit that he's absolutely killing it right now with Kill Tony. He said this on the podcast that he hasn't missed a Monday recording of the show in 11 years, so it just goes to show how hard he's worked to make it so big, along with truckloads of free publicity from his buddy Joe Rogan. But that's not to take away from his success. I personally appreciate anyone who's been able to carve out their own little thing for themselves, and Kill Tony's an awesome example of that. Even though I'm not a huge fan of the show myself, I can still respect what he's done for all the comedians who came up through the show and built their careers for themselves as stand-up comics. As for Bert, he's the complete opposite. His life goals are for people to cry at his funeral and wish he was still around at parties with champagne. So he basically says yes to everything he gets offered, even without knowing how much the pay is or what the terms are.
You want to hear about our story?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
So they called, and I guess they called Bert first. They're like, hey, we have this idea. We're going to have you guys in the roast. And Bert said,
Without even 100%. Tom's in too. And they went, well, but we haven't reached out to Tom, so you don't need to. We're in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're in. Done. Done.
Wow.
They said, we'll pay you. I said, okay. I said, how much? They told me. I said, Tom, I get the same? I said, yeah. I said, we're in.
oh my God. And he called me. He was like, hey, we're doing the roast. We're doing the roast.
Absolutely not.
I said, no.
I said, Tom, light lift. I knew two things. I knew one is, and it was very clear to me when we got on the dais, is that not every football player was familiar with any of us comics. And I was like, and not any of the comics have anything they can make fun of. I was definitely a good target.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, I know that's why I got the offer initially. It was like, yo, we've seen you get, there's a lot to make fun of you about.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much I was bringing to the table to be made fun of. Yeah. I didn't know how much I was going to make fun of myself authentically on accident, but I was like, that's cool, I'm in for that. I'll get lit up. I'm not good at roast jokes. I'm not good at making fun of people. So, and Jeff knew that. Jeff's like, well, we want to do something different. Tom's still like, I'm not doing it.
Right.
Yeah, I was like,
smart. You were right.
I was like, they're like, we want to break up. It was, I guess, sort of a version of what they wanted to do. But they were like, we want to do something different.
Yeah.
We want to do the two of you. And I was like, and then we both, I thought, like, you want us to both go to the podium together? And they were like, no, just like almost like a variety piece. Right. Maybe a screen. At first it was like,
all right, hang on. Bert's a massive grub. That's fucking gross, dude. He put a fresh Zim in his mouth, took the old one out, pretended to place it on top of the box, and then picked it up and stuck it to the bottom of the table. He's openly admitted to doing this multiple times. It's not the first time we've seen him do it, but it's still gross every time I see it. The guy's a full-blown man-child. He said before that he leaves them around the house place as well for his wife Leanne to find. I mean, seriously, what are we doing here, B? And Bert still doesn't understand that Tom keeps throwing him under the bus. He thinks it's funny how Tom never wanted to do the roast, so he takes any opportunity to tell the story about how he accepted the job before he discussed it with Tom. And Tom likes it when Bert tells this story because it makes it seem like it wasn't Tom's fault because he never wanted to do it in the first place.
And then we pitched this idea about making fun of him with like whiteness, being a psycho, and they're like, oh yeah, no one's doing that angle yet. Sent them a script. They send their script, like their Puncho script. Combine the two.
That's good enough. That's great.
I'll tell you what.
No reason to work on this anymore. It's just the most watched thing ever.
First and foremost, all you should be saying is thank you for Tom. Because without us, it is a bunch of people doing the exact same thing.
Right.
Like we broke up. We definitely.
Yeah, it was a comedy up until you guys started, and then you guys got to really change the tone a bit. You had to make everybody appreciative.
I had no idea. I told him this.
I'm still living in oblivion. I had a blast. I think we did great. I've not met one person that did not like what we did.
No,
I don't read comments because there's like, what are you gonna know someone who didn't maybe do as well as you or Nikki? That's the thing.
Right.
It's like as well as you and Nikki who were next level.
Look,
next level.
mean, and you
celebrate if your team wins and you were on the dais. All you do is go, that was fun and fun.
It's like when you see a boxer or a wrestler attempt the UFC. You could be an Olympic gold medalist stand-up comedian, and you go into that world where Nikki has that much experience and I.
Tom and Bert are coping hard. Every week they pull out a new excuse. And the funniest thing is the fact that whether or not they bombed is a question that so many people are asking, and they've been talking about it on every episode since the roast, means that they bombed. No one's questioning Nikki Glazer or Tony Hinchcliffe. That's because they absolutely killed the roast. And imagine making the excuse that because Nikki and Tony were so good, it made it seem like they bombed, but actually they did really well. Yeah, Bert, that's what bombing is. It's when the other acts on stage are so much better than yours and you end up looking ridiculous. But the excuses kept coming hard and fast, and Tony eventually had to jump in and help them cope.
I said to Tom, because Tom and I thought we were going to absolutely bomb. We did. And we said that to each other. We're like, we're about to eat it. It's going to be bad. And I remember I kissed him. I said, buddy, if we die, we die together.
That's so great.
And because I'm cool dying next to him. I'm cool with it. He said one time, we were talking about cancel culture. I remember him. I don't know if he said it on a podcast or he said it to me privately. And he said, let them rock my body. Wait do you see what I burn down? And I was like, okay, I got that for you then. If we die, we die together. I will tell you, I don't give what anyone says on the internet. We didn't die. We had a great time, and we sat down confident. We're like, God, the internet's gonna decide to hate whatever they want to hate. I don't really give a fuck.
You guys are balling out of control.
But no, it was kind of funny though, because like even though it wasn't fever pitch, like your guys, like you're getting laughs throughout this bit. Yeah, we sat down. Tom Brady was like, that was after the Netflix people, the after party. I had to call him. I go, do you know that like online they're like, you guys ate shit? And I was like, I had no idea.
See, that just goes to show how out of touch these guys are. When you're surrounded by a bunch of fart sniffers, you're never going to get honest feedback. Of course, Tom Brady and Netflix are going to tell you that they liked it, and all your comedy buddies are going to get behind you and tell you what you want to hear. That's what being part of the Rogan Circle Jerk is all about. But for Bert to say over and over again that he doesn't care what people think on the internet, and for Tom to have to call him and explain that everyone outside of their inner circle thought they ate shit is one of the biggest copes I've seen from the two of them so far. Even Tony jumped in and made the excuse that people didn't like their roast because they're doing so well. I even said it in my review a couple of weeks ago that even though I'm not a fan of Andrew Schultz, I thought his Brady roast was half decent and it made me laugh. The bottom line is Tom and Bert just aren't funny. It's as simple as that. And over the last few months, you can really tell that the noise is getting louder and louder for Bert. He's realizing that he's not as funny as he thinks he is, and his fans go to see him for the party and not the comedy.
I always go back to the writers because they're Mike Gibbons, Mike Lawrence. I'm thinking of the two Mikes, but
monsters.
They all know so much more than we do.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes if you don't, I mean, look, I see Mike Lawrence and I go, tell me what to say.
Yeah.
He gave me the Hitler joke on the day of.
Yeah.
He was like, Hitler stuck with his life until the end. And I was like, oh, okay, awesome. And like, I know he is a better comic than I am.
Yeah.
He is just, that guy's brain is better than mine.
Right.
If he took his shirt off and got drunk, he might have a better career than me. But listen, I'm likable. I get it. But I think that's the problem when you get these superstars in there where they go, I know what I'm doing.
Right.
And I'm not going to listen to Mike Lawrence or Mike Gibbons or all the great writers that are attached.
Maybe it's a good thing that Bert's finally realizing that he's basically a circus act that people pay to see. And so he went on to tell the story about how his appearance on Kill Tony earlier this year helped him to realize that he can still be funny, even though he feels so disconnected from comedy.
It's crazy. It's crazy because it's like I feel disconnected from comedy quite often because I feel like I do this thing that I'm doing now, which isn't really adjacent to how we started. You know, it's like it's fun, it's big, and it's awesome. I just ended my tour in Austin Saturday.